Hello, and welcome to the Kedamono Opera actual play, brought to you by LionWing Publishing. Kedamono Opera can address some uncomfortable topics, so I'm here to provide some content warnings for the session you are about to watch. The following will contain mild body horror, hallucinogenic visions, mind break, accusations of witchcraft, actual witchcraft, and murder. Now, without further ado, please enjoy the Kedamono Opera actual play.
Somewhere in this world lies the Dark Forest. It is here where you Kedamono spend your eternity. You feel a strange stir in the forest. Within your territory, beasts have surrounded a young nun, who herself is all alone. Clutched in one of her hands is a dagger, and in the other, a warding talisman. Even so, these beasts are anything but cowed by such a meager defense. From the saliva dripping from their fangs, it would be easy to guess what they have in mind. Left alone, the girl will surely become supper for these beasts. Unless, of course, you have something to say about it. At which point, we will now start our first ordeal. You are to protect this young nun. Protect Sister Teresa. The domains used for this, of your authority, will be violence and benevolence. Neither of you own these ordeals. Neither of you own these authorities, so you will not get any benefit out of it. But these beasts are now currently surrounding the Sister Teresa, and you just have that instinctual pull to go assist this young girl. Soralis, standing there in your very dapper looking suit with a pocket watch in hand, how do you intervene?
Perfect. So Taralis will reveal himself to Teresa and these beasts that are circling her, and he'll open up his pocket watch and start speaking. It is unwise to be here at this time. What is it that you need?
Ah, ah, help! I need help here! As she looks staring right into the fangs of these beasts.
Acceptable. You will have time to make your case later. Um, so for the ordeal, uh, can I activate a feat here?
So, what this will be is that you're going to roll two dice first, two
Okay.
d6s. If your target number is 10, so it's a little unlikely to get on 2d6, but it's always possible. You get to roll your dice first, then you get to decide if you want to activate a feat. And even if you roll higher than a 10, you can still activate a feat if you so choose.
Okay. So we're gonna say that instead of fighting off the beasts, that Seralis is going to use the what was it? Connection to telepathic powers to try to calm them down and persuade them to go away.
Interesting. Okay, go ahead and roll your 2d6.
All right, my 2d6 gave me a 1 and a 5.
Total of 6, which is less than 10. If you were to leave it as is, you will undergo a twist, a change in the story. What that usually means is that there is going to be a new portent placed upon your character. Which again, portents must come true at some point during the story. These portents are pretty bad, and they are pretty unhelpful to Sister Teresa.
Yeah, so I'm looking at one of my feats that I think fits in the case called psychokinesis. The flavor text is possibility lurks in the brain, move things without touching, influence minds without speaking. So if I activate that feat to try to convince the beast further to stand down, I think that fits.
That absolutely would fit. And that is a B rank feat, which means that you'll get to add 2 additional dice to your current existing roll.
All right, rolling 2 dice. A 3 and a 2 for a total of 11.
That is more than the 10 that you needed. That becomes a triumph, which in this regard is treated like a success. So you need one more success to overcome this ordeal, but describe how the beasts are starting to back down.
All right, so Seralis will approach Teresa more closely, and in doing so, release some sort of telepathic warning to these beasts. Stand down or face my wrath, essentially. And it'll say, come with me, and we will make your case in somewhere safer.
Excellent. However, with each power comes a price. You have activated a feat, and therefore you must now mark down one of the portents listed with that feat.
And I get to choose, correct?
You get to choose.
All right, I will choose the second portent, which is a new possibility arose within that one.
And so that can be triggered immediately. That can be triggered down the line. It can be triggered at the very end of the story, even. But it must be triggered or cleared in some regard. So whenever you wish to use that, let me know.
I will mark it down.
But the beasts are starting to back away ever so slightly, but the eye and fangs and that gleam of hunger and the growling of stomachs and throats continue to echo through the forest. Lady Ebonbeak, how do you intervene?
Seeing that Sir Alice is gone, we're gonna have to go find out why he's gone. So basically, looking up from the book that we were reading, that my lure was holding for me, notice he's gone. Head out, find Sir Alice and these beasts, and I want to use the feat Cloak of Feathers.
Well, again, you get to roll first.
Oh, that's right. 2 dice. Oh, that's a 4.
That's very unfortunate.
Right?
But you said you wanted to activate a feat, and so
Yes.
activate a feat you may.
Cloak of Feathers. And the flavor on that is those abundant feathers protect from threats and will carry you to safety.
And that is a B rank feat, so that's an additional
Yes.
2 dice.
Okay, so that's 7 for 7 plus my 4.
11.
11. Yep.
That too is a triumph. So describe how your feathers are able to further drive back these beasts.
As the massive bird with horns comes down, um, it she puts herself between the beast and Teresa, and kind of shields it with her feathers. Um, if I could lift off with her and take her to safety, I will. So
I
basically,
do not see why not.
okay. So basically, I land, get between her and the beasts, grab her and take flight. To take flight and take her to safety.
Not a problem.
Back to
Come
the
on,
mansion, I
Silas.
assume.
Yes.
Back to the mansion. Excellent. So, again, power comes with a price.
Yeah.
And now you have to mark a new portent for your feat.
Either I have something irreplaceable was lost, or feathers fell like snow.
And which do you want?
Uh, feathers fell like snow.
Excellent. So, flying back to the mansion, you get here to this old, dilapidated mansion. It looks abandoned, but you know different. You know so much more lies within, and its grandeur and majesty, very much like a book, you cannot judge by its cover. And as you set Teresa down, she looks incredibly terrified. And she says, Kedamono, am I still to be eaten then? Oh, no, but you just helped me, didn't you?
No,
Oh,
child. No one's going to eat you today.
uh, well, thank you. Thank you for saving me. Uh, my name is Teresa, and I am a nun. I have come to the Dark Forest seeking a grail, a holy grail. It's been 6 months since my village was beset by a plague that took the noble rot and applied it from our grapes to our bodies. I've never felt prayer to be as useless as I do now.
And you came here asking for help.
Indeed, uh, I, I, I'm reticent to mention this, but if the Lord was not willing to help me, then maybe you would.
An apt proposal. Unfortunately, my master does not wish to speak with you at the moment, but I, however, am willing to assist you.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. You don't know how much that means to me. If, if I need to, tell your master that, for his assistance, I'm willing to be eaten. I just need to save my village.
Please, my child, that won't be necessary.
That is, that is good to hear. Thank you. But I, I only know that the grail exists in the forest. I do not know where.
Interesting.
Lady Ebenbeek, you are more knowledgeable of a lot of things. Have you heard of this grail before?
Let me consult my memory.
And at which point, this sounds like a good time to hit our next ordeal. You're going to learn about the grail. And this requires a little bit of memory, maybe some research. You could also talk with the other beasts and maybe even Kedamono of the forest to know what they have learned. However, it is still an ordeal nonetheless. And I will need you to give me a check. But the domain for this one is sagacity. So, but first, because we have determined our initiative as such, Soralis, you have the first check.
Okay, rather than using memory, I will try to use awareness in some way, and I might explain it later after we know the outcome of the event, if that's fine.
That's fine by me.
Great, because I rolled 2 ones.
Oh,
Oh,
Um,
good.
let's see how I want to go about this.
And again, you don't have to take it. You can take a twist instead.
I can't. Give me that twist.
Excellent. You now get to choose one of the following. You can choose that you found that there is some destined connection between you and the grail. You could contract the noble rot. Or that holy power rejected the Kedamono.
Was that second one you can contract the holy rod
No,
or you
you
will?
have.
Oh, you have.
You have contracted the noble rot.
I will take the last one. Holy power rejected the Kedamono.
Excellent. So, try as you might, nothing seems to come to mind or anything of real awareness for you. This is something you've only heard of in passing at this point. But as the knowledgeable one here, Lady Ebenbeek, what do you recall?
with a tilt of her head. Um, 3. Let's roll. Looking back. Oh, I rolled a 10.
And so, just for sake of discussing it, this is something you have authority over because you have Sedacity. If you
Right.
wanted to, after choosing a feat to roll, you could have opted to re-roll all of your dice because you have authority in it. I will also make mention that if you so choose to use a feat here, you can. If you ever roll a 20 or higher on all of your d6s, you gain a new authority for this session alone. So if you wanted to push it and try to get a new authority overall, you can. But that's completely up to you.
Yeah, no, I think I'm good.
Very well.
So with a tilt of her head, just kind of looking back, the horns, they kind of seem to vibrate a little bit that are above her eyes. I think I've heard of this.
Indeed, you have. You have heard that the Holy Grail was created during the time of the Lord of Light. The Lord of Light being the one that has given humanity their souls, but for whatever reason chose not to give them to you. Its proper name is the Grail of Grapes, for it could produce wine with the power to heal. In the past, a saint brought this grail out of the dark forest to quell an outbreak of the noble rot plague. Afterwards, the grail was returned to its former resting place. Said place is uncertain, but she did say that she did it for the grail brought turmoil to her people. But you will need one more success or failure to pass this ordeal.
And it's back to me, no?
And it's back to you.
Yep. Okay.
Alright, now that we know that the Grail is here, it's time to read minds and
Figure out where.
contact beasts to try to figure out where this is. See if anything else has noticed anything about where this could possibly be. So I rolled a 6 and a 4.
That's a 10.
That's a
10, you
10.
succeeded.
Do you wish to activate a feat?
I'm thinking about it, but I think I want to hold back as well.
Very well. At which point, you start creeping around in the minds of these beasts, and your ears perk up to some information, and you're able to piece it together. That this Grail of Grapes is found deep within the depths of the dark forest, stored within a chantry, surrounded by trees draped in wild grapevines. However, to get to the chantry, you must first pass through the maze of spores, a place overgrown with hallucinogenic mushrooms. That is 2 triumphs. This ordeal is complete.
I think we have located this grail for you. And
Wait, it's real?
it
Yes,
is.
child.
Uh, I I knew it, but I there's always that doubt. Oh Lord, are all the legends really here?
More than you know. However,
This is
there
yes.
is a trial we must go through. It is a long journey, and we are prepared to follow you through it. But it may be taxing.
I I I I will do what I must. For I don't have a choice. I must do this.
Very well.
So how is it taxing?
The, the maze of spores lies between us and it, as well as the
Spores.
journey itself through the forest.
But you'll be there with me, will you not?
Of course, child.
Oh, oh,
This is a
the
quest for knowledge, after all.
it is a quest of salvation and and safety and security and necessity. But I must take this path. In what what direction must I go, Lord or Masters Kedamono?
Simply give us the word, and we will leave at your discretion.
Time is of the essence.
Should we take flight?
You want to fly us there?
I can fly you there.
Okay.
We'll fly her there.
Very well.
So she gets to see all the pretty sights of of the forest.
Very well. So you are flying through the forest, and there are many predators within this forest. Most are well aware to stay away from Lady Ebonbeak. Is she is Sister Teresa in your claw? Is she riding on your back? Is she holding on to a leg or your
I
neck?
would
Where
probably
is
put
it?
her on either my back or around my neck.
I assume Perdita is as well.
Yes. Teresa is riding on Lady Ebonbeak's back. The Perdita is actually tucked somewhere in the feathers, which I could probably do that to Teresa, but that might freak her out more. So we're gonna let her just ride on my back and hang on real tight.
In Sorellis.
You will find me at the destination.
And so the travels go. It is hard to tell time here in the dark forest. It is dark after all. The sun does not reach this almost unholy land. But things still grow, things still hunt here in the dark. And while your sight is as clear as ever, lady, Teresa has no such luxury. And through the terrifying dark, she just hears trees whistling by, the cries of birds and animals throughout as they flee from one of the apex predators here in the forest. But you travel and travel and travel. Sister Teresa has to request a break now and then as her legs are starting to tire from holding on, as she grows hungry and her pack of meager rations that she carried in, just a loaf of bread and some cheese, starts to dwindle down to nothing but crumbs. But,
So,
oh,
go ahead.
yes.
I would say if we stop and she's low on food, but this is a contract. Um, I'm wondering if I could give her some of my blessed food. Uh, it's how you start to make a lure.
How much do you tell her? As let's play this part out. You've
Okay.
landed down in a little bit of a small like clearing. There is just a bunch of moss over a lot of fallen logs over here, enough to comfortably sit upon. Uh, and after just several attempts to light a fire, she just gives up. She just doesn't have the strength or the knowledge of how to spark a flame within such a damp location. And she's opens up what little light that she does have. She opens up her pack to find that she is down to just one last bite of bread and a small bit of cheese for flavor. And you can hear her just silently just mumble to herself that she is praying for a miracle, for food, for the Lord of Light to deliver her to her location safely and well enough. But you also hear that she's breathing a little bit heavier than normal. You hear that it is not just the adrenaline and the fear or even the hunger that is speaking or that is belaboring her breathing. It is something else.
So after I've sent Petra, Pet, mm, name.
Perdita?
Thank you. After I've sent Perdita to kind of gather things to build a fire, we both have the knowledge of that. Um, going to kind of look at her and listen. Child, are you not well?
I am I am hungry, lady. There is not much food left. And as Master Sorales mentioned, this has been a taxing journey.
If you're willing, I can produce food for you.
Truly,
Truly.
I would be honored, lady.
But I will be honest, it comes with a price.
And her face that was filled with hope now starts to drop into a despair. What price is that?
The price is you become my lure. Which it may seem like it's a terrible thing, But in the long run, you will not age, you will not die, and you will gain much knowledge.
And she just closes her eyes, and you just see a small tear drop down her cheek. And she says, I cannot accept that. I must save my people. I will endure this longer if I need to.
If you agree to this pact, Teresa, I will not take you until we have helped your people.
I
You have my word on that.
I uh I uh yes, very well. I accept.
And from the
Excellent.
depths of despair, a new possibility arose within that one. I would like to claim that one of my portents has been fulfilled.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
The portent is a new possibility arose within that one.
Right, right. Okay, very well.
and so I will uh, bestow her the blessed food. But I don't want to like show her that it's basically coming from the bird's own mouth. We don't want to gross her out more than she's already grossed out. But once I have it, we'll offer it to her, or I'll have the lure offer it to her because I have no hands. Um,
Okay. So you offer it to her, and what does it look like?
that's a good question.
Like, it could be a fully formed meal. It could be just a slop if you wanted it to be. It could be like just like bits, pieces of individual like things. Like, however way you want this. This is your meal that you're now providing as part of a contract. How does Lady Ebonbeak provide this to her potential lures?
It would probably be in whatever their like favorite food was. So something they would like. Because I mean, you're wanting them to eat it. You're not wanting them to be so grossed out they're not going to uh, go after it.
Okay. So what this looks like is you produce a bowl, and there is through the methods that you produce this food, it is a warm stew, red in nature. Looks like pork and corn and beans are in it, uh, and you produce it to her, and she says, this was my mother's stew. How?
I know what your heart wants. There's a
Well, thank you. And she starts eating it. And she starts eating it more and more. But suddenly you see her face starts to blanch. She goes pale
uh-oh.
and immediately throws away the stew and runs off into the forest, and you can hear her get sick. A new possibility has arisen.
You screwed me. No.
It was fate.
As a note, importance don't have to be applied to you. They just
Exactly.
have to happen.
I will send Perdita app to check on her. Child, are you all right?
And you can tell that she is weaker than what she was before. And as you get a little closer, you notice that there is a bit of white mold creeping up her neck. But she is on all fours, just her outfit just covered in sick, and she is coughing and she cannot talk right now.
So we're going to stay by her side. Perdita will kind of, uh, kind of watch over her, make sure she doesn't hurt herself anymore. Can't do anything until she finishes. Um, and then when she's done, try to see if we can't go clean her up.
Which you can.
And basically apologize. Like, I'm so sorry.
No, no, that is the Lord delivering the miracle unto me. He says I must withstand this trial myself.
Sorrellis will appear, pocket watch out, looking at it. Time seems to be of the essence. I know that you are struggling at the moment, but we must continue.
Yes. Yes. We must go.
We'll offer her, kneel down to offer her onto the back, put Perdita back in my feathers, and take flight again.
And more flying through the forest. And eventually you reach upon the maze of spores. Trees are replaced by mushrooms here. There's various types, from the big leafy ones, if you will, to large red caps. But the predominant color is orange and yellow. And they are so crowded together, it forms a twisted tangle. Almost like a maze. Moreover, the mushrooms here release glowing spores, which, upon breathing these in, cause hallucinations. And creatures who hallucinate long enough get trapped here and eventually perish to feed the mushrooms and continue the cycle anew. And thus, the maze keeps growing. As you look upon the maze, you hear the echoes of laughter. These mushrooms are alive. They are sentient, and their thoughts filter into your mind via their telepathy. New prey has wandered in, and yes, they welcome you willingly. It is time for an ordeal. This time you need to make it through the maze of spores. And this is a cunning domain.
Ah, so my domain.
All you.
All right. We'll be smart about it. We will attempt to lead through this maze in a way that keeps us away from the spores, despite how unlikely that seems.
Very well. Go ahead and make that roll.
I got a 6 and a 1, so in this case, I would like to activate a feat.
Which feat are you thinking of?
Harmless Fluff. Now, hear me out. The
Okay.
flavor text is here now. What's so scary about a cute little bunny rabbit? But fluff is useful as an insulator against things like spores. So what if we made some sort of like face covering to kind of like protect against inhaling the spores?
I think that is fantastic.
All right. Um, so that's a C rank feat, which will give me 1 extra die, and I'll roll that now. It landed on a 3. That puts my total up to 10.
Up to 10. Uh, you have the option now that you've used your feat. Well, first off, let's go ahead and mark a portent for your feat.
Yes. Yes. So I'll mark Harmless Plus as used, and then I will gain Portent 2. They were very different from what they looked like.
Interesting. Very well then. That is your new portent. But let us discuss your authority, because this is cunning, and you've rolled the dice, you've succeeded. You now have the option, if you so choose, to use your authority to re-roll your dice, but you would re-roll all of them. You don't have to, but the option is there.
Just mathematically, seeing how I can't get 20 with 3 dice, I'm going to choose not to.
That's a fair point. But the option's there and I wanted to offer it.
No worries. So Soralis will, out of somewhere, uh, pull up these like balls of fluff, fur. I don't know. Like, I don't actually know what is it. Fur for bunnies?
It would be fur.
Fur. Um, it pulls out these balls of fluff and like does something to like kind of fashion them into kind of something you could put over your face or over your mouth, and demonstrates it as well. Uh, use this to it'll help you in avoiding inhaling these spores. You've already been through enough. It's not going to be a good idea to go through this as well.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, Sir Alice. And
He makes
she'll,
some for
like,
Perdita and Lady Evanbeek as well.
how do you affix that to Lady Ebenbeek?
That's a good question.
That is a good question. Perdita might want to help with that.
Perdita can be like,
That sounds
honestly,
like a wonderful roll.
on my side, on my side.
You're the next one up.
I am the next one. Oh, that's a 3. Perdita, what's going on? Um,
Do you have any feats you would like to activate?
you know what? No. Just give me the twist.
Very well. Uh, your twist. You have the options of, though still alive, they became a fresh bed for new mushrooms. Visions of the grail led you astray and put you into danger's path. Or a past event you thought you'd long forgotten was brought back via illusion.
Hmm. You said these don't necessarily have to happen to me.
They have to come true.
If it says you, it is you. If it
It is
says
you. Yeah.
they, it's any single person.
Yep.
Just making sure. Okay, so I'll choose those still alive. They became a fresh bed for new mushrooms.
Very well. And then one other thing we did not do with the last one because it did not matter at that time, but it might matter for you. When you obtain a twist, you get that portent from the ordeal, but you also get to choose one of the dice that you have rolled. Whatever number is on that die, you can uncheck the use box for that feat. What numbers did you roll on your dice?
A 1 and a 2.
And you've not used either 1 or 2.
No.
So
Right.
unfortunately, you do not get to reuse that feat. However, Cloak of Feathers was a 3, and if you had rolled a 3, you would be able
I
to
see.
uncheck that.
Okay, I
Yes.
see how that makes sense now.
Yes.
I have not used feat 1 as well, and both of my dice were 1, so we could not do that when I took the twist as well.
Okay, that makes sense.
So there's not always a bad thing for getting a twist. But however, that is still one of the failures, as it's a little bit harder for Perdita to affix this fluff to your face. But in maybe arrogance or ignorance, you decide to push through the maze without proper protection of your own. And we're still in this ordeal, and we're back to Cerritos.
All right. So we've gotten our face coverings. Now all we have to do is get to the end of this maze. So we're just going to start leading based on I don't know, the mushrooms are telepathic, right? What if I
They are.
listen in and try to figure out the directions based on that?
You can try.
You gotta telepathic them back. All right, I have a 1 and a 3 here. I think I'm going to at least use my authority because these are lower numbers, but I'm going to use a feat first.
Which feat?
We're going to activate Wind Vein Ears. So those long ears hear everything your prey tries to do. So this plays into the whole listening back into the mushrooms. And that is a C rank, which will give me 1 die. Which is a 2, so I have a total of 6.
But you have authority.
But I have authority over this because my authority is cunning, so I will take all 3 dice and re-roll them. And I have an 8 here. I have a 3, and a 2.
That is still a failure.
Yeah, let's see. Do I want to activate another feat? Can
You
I?
can only activate 1 feat per roll.
Oh, then never mind. I think we're taking that other twist.
Very well. So, first off, you now get to choose one of the 2 remaining portents, which is visions of the grail have led you astray and put you into danger's path, or a past event you thought you'd long forgotten about was brought back via an illusion.
I'll take the visions leading to a dangerous path.
Okay.
Uh-oh, Sir Alice's lawyer has gone off the rails again.
So what this is going to do, first off, this is the first ordeal that we have failed. When you have a number of triumphs or successes equal to the difficulty of the ordeal, you walk the path of glory, which is essentially things go well for you. However, if you reach the amount of twists before you reach the number of triumphs, you now walk the path of agony. First off, you will still complete the ordeal, but with considerable distress. So all Kedamonos will now suffer agony equal to the difficulty. In this regard, 2. Both of you now have 2 agony. If you ever get 5, you cannot use your opera.
Also, in addition to the twist thing, one of my dice was a 2, and that corresponds to harmless fluff, so I will uncheck the used box for feat 2, and I believe that allows me to clear the portent I got from it.
Correct.
So I will get rid of they were very different from what they looked like as a portent, so we no longer have to have that happen.
There you go. But with that, you're pushing your way through the maze, and it takes you a little longer than you thought. Maybe this maze was a little more than you expected. The Lady Ebonbeak seems to have gotten through decently okay. But all of the humanoids are having issues. Soralis, you've seen a lot of things during your time as a Kedamono's lore. But this is a wholly new feeling for you. And all these voices keep calling out, no, this way, this is the way to safety. No, come here. Rest your head underneath my cap. No, this is the way home. It's time to come home. And all these voices cry out to your mind. And it's hard to focus down on which voice is your voice. And Perdita, young, sweet Perdita, she is overwhelmed by this. You have complete control over her. You know exactly what she's going through. But Perdita herself is trapped within her own mind. She sees everything. These spores forcing her to see things that she is not meant to see. She cannot even close her eyes because of the amount of control you have. It is a waking nightmare for her, and you feel every bit of terror that she has. But neither of you know the absolute fear and pain that Teresa is currently going through. You have your own worries to go through. And both of you are immortal beings. Going through suffering, this is just a drop in the bucket. This is something you can forget after a good night's read or a satisfying meal. Teresa, on the other hand, will remember this for as long as she lives. Time is hard to tell, but eventually you do make your way out of this maze. A grove of wild grapevines sprawl out before you. It feels peaceful here. A good change of pace of what you just went through. Yet, as you look to Teresa, she's breathing even more raggedly. Her face pale, just as white as you've ever seen it. It's actually whiter than what any human should look like. You see that mold that was going up her neck has now started to reach her mouth and her nose. And it's one of the very symptoms of the plague that Teresa has mentioned to you.
Well, I'm gonna say for Perdita, the things that she's been hearing, right? Having to go through that, while also not being able to act, right? Trapped in her own mind.
So I will take that and go one step further.
Hmm.
I will ask a question first. Lady
Okay.
Evanbeek, you know that she is seeing all these terrors. Do
Hmm.
you force her to close her eyes?
Yes, and kind of
Then she
I'll have to guide her, but
and you have to guide her, which is not difficult for
no,
someone of your experience.
no.
That being said, she now hears these terrors. And now that she can't see them, she is even more terrified. Because when you can't see the thing, your imagination goes to places you don't want it to go. And now you fear that even though she is temporarily immortal, when Perdita comes out of it, out of this contract, you can't speak for what happens afterward.
That seems rather unfortunate.
I was like, dang it.
Again, these portents are not friendly.
No.
But again, you are now outside of this chantry.
Shall we go in?
Yes. I think we should.
We are nearly there, my child.
Thank you. Let's let's go. We'd better hurry.
Uh, I want to invoke my one of the portent I picked up from the twist. Um, though still alive, they become a fresh bed for new mushrooms. Um,
Okay.
I know that Perdita is still up and walking. Um, as I direct the lure to kind of steady her and help walk her along, there's mushrooms starting to grow on Perdita.
Okay. So Perdita now just has mushrooms sprouting from their body. They're small.
Yes.
They're very small. Uh, this is unusual to you. You know that under the ancient magics of the contract, that your beneficiary should not undergo any sort of harm. Any sort of illness just halts. They don't age. They don't require food, drink, sleep. None of that. So to see mushrooms sprouting from their body, that is intriguing.
Curiouser and curiouser.
At last, you glimpse the white walls of the chantry amidst the curtain of grapevines. Yet, curled up before its gates are a number of young human children. They wail and cry without cease. Mother, where are you? I'm so scared. Please help me, they beg. Lost? Or perhaps abandoned? Teresa turns her anguished eyes to you, obviously shaken. A trick, surely. They can't be real, and yet what if they are? I can't bear to leave them here, the poor dears. While Teresa may not be sure, you, Kedamono, know without even thinking about it, without a second glance, you know that these children are lures. From within their shadows comes the scent of other Kedamono, looking for a fresh soul to consume. So, you know that these are other Kedamono here. You now have an option. You can opt to deal with these other Kedamono with violence or benevolence. You can try to remove them or persuade them, but both of you have to agree.
Persuade?
Persuade, because I don't think I can fight my way out of this.
I have a single violent feat, but I don't want to use it.
The only thing I've got where is I can it's soaring raptor. Uh,
Well then,
I think we're
you're
agreed.
you're agreed. You're going to try to persuade the Shade Wolves. And so we start the ordeal with Sir Alice.
All right, what's the domain here?
Oh, I'm sorry. The domain is benevolence.
Okay. Interesting. I'm trying to see how I would approach this. Because they're shade wolves, or we know they're Kedamono. So
I
what we
think we
want to
might
do with
try
the,
to.
or sorry, go ahead.
Well, you can maybe try to persuade Teresa to ignore the children. Like they're not what you think. But I don't know if she would believe. Could you? I wonder.
Oh, I have
Could
an
you put a suggestion in her mind?
I could. Um, I think for story reasons, I want to invoke my legend first.
Ooh. Okay. So, your legend being of the endless mission, correct?
Yes, so unending mission. So I'm going to say that the portent I have, visions of the grail led you astray and put you into dangerous path, would it be counterproductive towards my mission.
Hmm.
And so I want to remove that one, and I will gain a new portent, either from the random table, one of the twist portents, or from one of my feats. And I'm going to choose one of my feats. I'm going to choose the one I actually cleared off of the twist previously. They were very different from what they look like.
Okay.
So, so I'm going to remove this portent and add that new one. And then I'm going to say that this portent applies here, the new one. Because the
Okay.
lures are very different from what they actually look like, right? The shade wolves.
Okay. Gotcha. Go ahead and give me a roll.
Yeah,
The
and so
portent will
now,
still apply.
yep,
It's just how much it will apply depends on your roll.
right. And so now my job is to convince uh, Teresa about that they are different than what they look like.
Very well.
Mm-hmm.
A 6 and a 4, I believe, does it.
That does it.
Yay!
So what this looks like is that Teresa is uh slowly walking up to these children, these lures. You know that they're lures, but she doesn't. But as she gets closer, she starts seeing some strange things. She starts seeing that all of these children also have the same noble rot that she has in the exact same manner. And as she looks closely, she starts noticing other discrepancies. She's noticing those children have fangs. Those are split irises. Is that a tail? and she immediately starts recoiling back, and she falls down the steps of the chantry, and she is now just screaming. She's like, they're not children. They can't ever be.
Can I catch her? She's falling down the steps.
You absolutely can.
All right. I'll catch her as she's falling down the steps, and I'll say, the truth can sometimes be concerning and reveal things that you weren't expecting and things that you didn't want to see. Uh, these creatures also hold a dangerous truth. It'd be best if you stay away from them.
At which point, from out of the shadowy parts, you start seeing giant wolves starting to come out, but they're not as big as what you're used to. These Kedamono are relatively younger than you, much younger. They're still large. They're still imposing to poor Teresa.
I was gonna ask, can she see them, or is there still some like
She
invisibility
can
magic
now.
going? Because if not, I was going to try to like share sight with her via telepathy.
Oh no, she is. As soon as they come out of the shadows, like you've always seen them at this point. It's
Right.
like you knew they were there, but now they're coming out of the shadows into her vision, and she says, "More, more of the Catamonos. Oh, oh no."
They are simply the truth of what you see before you.
And one of them like puts a paw down right beside their lore and says, "Why? Why do you take this meal from us? It has been so long since one has come so close to our territory." Lady Ebonbeak.
Yes.
It's your turn for a check, so.
Yep. I'm just trying to figure out what I'm gonna do. Uh,
Any
I apologize.
I would say
Um,
any ideas you got?
my brain is like,
Like
it's like this.
what are your intentions?
I'm just like, this is our charge. You will not touch her.
Okay,
Um,
yeah.
but I
You
couldn't
can
figure out how.
you can go more on an intimidating route with that.
That's what I wanted. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, let's go for that then.
All right. So I'm gonna look at them and be like, she is under our protection. You will not have her.
Go ahead and
And
give
just
that roll.
be very imposing. And I mean, you're looking at a gigantic freaking raven. Oh, that fell off the table. Let me re-roll that. 6. Yes, 6.
Are you going to let that stand, or do you want to add a feat?
I can't. None of my feats apply. Um,
Okay. That is a B rank,
B rank
so
feat.
add 2 more dice.
Another 5. So total 5 to my 6. 11.
There you go.
And then the portent. I'll take whatever they saw, looked back at them.
Okay. Very well. So, what does that look like? What does you using Night Sentinel look like towards these Shade Wolves?
Flavors dead of night see it all, even events in the past and future, or even in the heart. Um, in their heart of hearts, I know they want to eat her, but
They do. Might I make a suggestion?
is there an event in the future where I could maybe create an event in the future where I could see about getting around
Yes.
getting around this? Is what I meant.
Oh,
Is
get
if I'm
around that. So, one thing that you can do is that you know the moves they're planning on doing before they do. So
okay.
you can go ahead and start positioning yourself between them and Teresa, and
Hmm.
every time they try to maneuver, you're already in the way. You're
Okay.
just showing a level of experience and proficiency of martial ability,
Okay.
and so for they are cowed before you.
That works.
At which point, the Shade Wolves are discouraged enough that they are willing to leave if you let them. I hear no objections, so they will
Yeah.
uh,
Yeah, I don't know too many
pace
people.
away. They will pace away from the chantry.
Oh, does that mean we passed?
You have passed.
Awesome.
Yay!
But you step inside the chantry, and a small, time-worn cup seems out of place within the gloom of the chantry. It looks to be no different from an antique one could purchase at a store. Yet when Teresa moves to take hold of the cup, the gentle voice of a woman can be heard. To this vessel you must give your blood. Should your faith prove true, blood will change to wine and remedy any illness. Without hesitation, Teresa cuts the tip of her finger and lets her blood drip into the grail. Though only a single drop hits the cup, within a blink it is filled to the brim. Trembling, cautious, Teresa sips from the grail. No sooner does she swallow than the white mold fades from her skin. Now the people should find peace in exchange for your own agony. Leaving behind only those words, the voice fades away.
I will invoke that I have a portent that is probably important here.
Very good.
Holy power rejected the Kedamono, and I'm going to say that probably that applies to only Sorellis here, and that
Right.
as Sorellis tries to approach to assist, uh, he cannot approach within a 10-yard radius of the chalice.
Ooh, is that like a force field? Is it a blast of energy knocks you back? Is it just an uneasing feeling? How does that manifest?
It manifests as kind of like a debilitating fatigue the closer you get to it.
Ooh,
It's the holy power, right? So it is essentially warding me off for some reason.
So, can I also invoke a portent while you're
absolutely.
doing this? Whatever they saw looked back at them. So, what are you seeing, Fern?
What am I seeing? Ooh, that's a great question. What I saw was, oh my god. Okay, sorry. I'm
That's
something's
okay. I'm
coming into my
just
mind. No, something's coming and into my mind, and I'm thinking about like how this plays out. Um, what I'm seeing is something else, right?
and it's looking
It's
back at
looking
you.
back at me, and I'm realizing that this may be part of my mission, and that my the time has come. The deed need be done, and my target is found.
Interesting.
But yes, I will still be force fielded away from that chalice for now, for the foreseeable future.
And Teresa, uh, she just looks at the grail and she says, "It is wine. at least in exchange for my blood. It's a small price, right? It's only a drop, but this will allow me to save them, the village, and anyone else for this. Uh, Masters Kedamono, this is fantastic. Thank you so much for this. And she
That
rushes
child.
forward to hug Sorales, cup in hand.
Back away very quickly. I I am glad that you have what you need, and I am honored to serve you in it. But please maintain your distance from me. That chalice is not good.
Uh, how can it not be good? This is exactly what we needed.
For what you need.
It is what you
Also,
need and what your people need, but it is not what I need.
Uh, Once again, thank you. Once this plague is fully taken care of, I shall return to fulfill my part of the bargain. But I have to return back. Lady Ebonbeak, would you still carry me back?
I would.
Thank you so much. And you see, with a renewed vitality, she is uh ready to travel immediately.
But also, child, I want you to consider something. Once your
Yes,
people see once your people see the miracles of this, they may not give it up so easily. There could be greed, there could be other things humans will take advantage of.
I will make sure that she is. I will make sure that they know that this is truly an act from on high,
Before you
and
do
that.
that, may I
Yeah,
ask that you give some to my lure?
I believe I can. Yes. And she'll go over to where Perdita is. She reopens the wound on her hand and puts the drop into the grail, and it fills back up with wine. And she hands it to Perdita.
I will have Perdita drink.
Perdita drinks, and uh, all of a sudden, mushrooms just fall out of Perdita's skin. Like where they once were attached, they just fall down, and there are still wounds there. It doesn't heal the wounds, but it cures any illness or any sort of parasitic invasion. It has treated those. The wounds will have to heal on their own, but they ooze ever so slightly.
And then may I ask another favor, Teresa?
Of course,
Could you help bind and clean her wounds?
I certainly I'm used to this back at the orphanage. And she starts
Much
binding
appreciated.
wounds. Yeah. Perdita looks almost like just entirely wrapped in bandages at this point.
Come along, mummy. Anyway, sorry. Okay.
And with that, you take Teresa to the edge of the forest, and she returns back to the village.
I think once Perdita's a little bit healed up a little bit more, I'm gonna send her in to kind of watch
Okay.
Teresa, just to kind of if it gets to the point where they're being a little because now this cup is apparently connected to her. If they drain her, I don't know. I just got a bad feeling.
So, from what I've gathered in the story, we have given Teresa the Grail and seen her home safely by now, right?
Correct.
Yes.
So my portent you gave Teresa the grail and saw her home safely should be fulfilled?
That is fulfilled.
Perfect, I'll mark it down.
And Sister Teresa poured the wine for the orphans who had suffered too long with their illness. She did the same for the people of her village, and the same again for those who came from abroad, having heard the rumors. The rumors, of course, of Teresa, the saint of the wine. Kindling hope in any who heard it, the rumors took no time at all to spread across the land. However, what those rumors didn't say is where Teresa got the wine from, as she never told a soul. Try as they might, even a saint cannot save everyone. Many perished before they could be saved, and those left behind grew resentful of Teresa. They began to wonder, first to themselves, then with an increasingly louder voices, where exactly did that miraculous wine come from? What happened was only inevitable. She made the sick drink her blood, that's what! No normal woman could walk out of the dark forest without so much as a scratch. There's no holy grail she holds. It's the work of our adversary, the devils, the Kedamono. She's a witch! It's been about half a year since you met with Teresa. And now, once again, you feel the presence of humans within your territory. When you go to look, however, you see a gaggle of crying human children walking through the forest. The lead child clutches a warden talisman in their hand. Teresa's talisman. You can't imagine Teresa would allow these children to wander the dark forest unaccompanied. Something must be wrong. And as you approach the children, they say, Masters Kedamono, please, you've got to help Sister Teresa. Some knights came from their capital and took her away. They said she used witchcraft and tricked everyone.
It seems the shadows of the past have come to strike.
We must assist.
Lady Ebonbeak, shall we go?
We shall.
Onwards.
At this point, this will be the final ordeal of our tale. If there's anything that you would like to do beforehand, now is the time to do it. Just remember, there are still some portents that need to be fulfilled. And there might be something that you could do with Teresa herself. Think about what kind of ending that you would like to see for this tale as we approach its conclusion. But note there are 3 types of ordeals you can do. You can try to take her away by force if necessary. You try to sway the people, convince them that no, she's not actually in league with the devils and she's not a witch. Or you could try to free her of your own intelligence and scheme different ways to get her to safety. Each of those are a separate ordeal. You can take them on any way that you wish. So if Soralis wishes to scheme while Lady Ebonbeak forcibly takes her away, you can. They are not mutually exclusive. However, the first one to complete it will get their ending to the story.
Interesting.
Additionally, you can work together on a single one and complete it faster. Conversely, if you decide that you don't want to do it midway through the ordeal, you can switch.
Interesting. I think I'm leaning towards convincing the humans that she is not a witch. And what was the second one? Which one was that?
Sway the people.
Sway the people. Yeah, that one.
Sway the people, huh?
You can join me or not.
Okay. If we successfully save her, it sort of that means I protect her from this tragedy of the Grail.
That's true.
I would argue that, yeah. I could make a claim for that important being fulfilled, yeah.
This one's looking. I wonder if I could also strike a bargain with her, but I'd have to. It's like, we help you. You'll be my lure.
I think she mentioned something about coming back to fulfill the contract.
She
True,
did.
true.
She's already
Um,
agreed.
that's true. Okay.
It's just that one attempt didn't work.
I know. I tried. Um, okay, yeah. Let's go ahead and I'll help you try to persuade them. But if persuasion does not work, I will take her by force.
I will remind you that by taking her by force, you may have to inflict violence upon humanity. And Teresa's taboo is slaughter of the innocent. Even if they are misguided.
Well, when I say by force, that means pick her up and fly away.
Indeed.
You could try a Great Escape.
But they are hunters, after all.
True. I try to do the Great Escape. If the hunters do shoot at me, feathers fell like snow. I just cleared that port.
It's true. But it sounds like we have a plan.
Yes.
But a huge crowd has converged upon the capital's public square. Not long now until the witch who masqueraded as a saint is set to be burned at the stake. None who set the stage for this execution do so with pure hearts. The fearful, who worried the saint's rising popularity could threaten the church's authority. The jealous and the suspicious, who are grieved over their own medical knowledge going to waste. The greedy, who simply wanted the grail for themselves. The resentful, whose sorrow over lost loved ones turned them to wonder why the saint's village was saved but not their own. All of it descended upon this one woman, this nun, and turned a saint into a sinner. I assume that at the moment, neither of you are showing up in your Kedamono forms.
Nope, Sorellis will continue to be in lure form.
My only condition, if he starts to fail, then yes, I will show up in my Kedamono
Oh,
form.
absolutely. At the start, though.
Yeah, at the start, I'll
You,
sit in Perdita.
yeah, and you are nearby. It's just that you have invisibility magic on. So, let us start the ordeal. Sway the people, starting with Sorellis.
Alright, so I imagine she's
Oh,
set up on a stage.
I apologize. The domains for this are benevolence and sagacity.
Ah, okay. I imagine she's set up on a stage. Is she tied to a stake? About to be
She
burned
is
alive?
indeed tied to a stake with
Okay.
the wood at her feet, and a particular priest. Actually, this is the capital, so a cardinal is sitting there preaching against the blasphemies that she has apparently uttered in her time in captivity, uh, about how greed is a sin and no one should seek power for their own gains. And he's got a torch in hand and waving it about, and the crowd is getting lit up into a fervor.
Sorellis will uh, approach and enter the stage. I imagine it's a raised platform, so they will get
Yes.
on that raised platform and respond back. Please, a moment of your time before we engage in such matters. I know Teresa, and she has only ever wanted to help. And for now, I will take my role.
Go for it.
I know what I'm gonna do.
Alright, I've got a 5 and a 2, which is not enough. But I'm going to use Harmless Fluff again because I got it back. And it's not going to be about being fluffy, but it's the whole thing about what is there to be scared about, right? And appearing harmless. So I'm going to try to project that onto how could Teresa be trying to invoke harm,
Ooh, I like that.
right? So I'm going to use that not on myself, but on her.
I like it.
Okay, I'll take my one extra die because that is a C rank feat, and it is a 5, so that is a total of 12.
That's enough. What portent are you taking?
So I already
Oh,
have. They were very different from what they look like because I got that off the legend.
indeed you
So
did.
I will take they were looked down on and belittled.
Not only do you take it, you have to because it's the only option. And so you say that, and the crowd starts quieting down a little bit because they're now willing to hear what you're what you're having to say. And this cardinal says, "Who are you to come up here and interfere with the works of the Lord? She has been proven to be guilty of being in consort with demons."
Proven. I am simply here to enlighten the truth.
Lady Ebenbeek.
Well, all this is going on, and they're talking, and the crowd's focused on uh, Seralis and the Cardinal. We're gonna send darn it,
Perdita.
Perdita. I was like, I didn't. Gonna send Perdita to kind of. I guess my question was how heavily bound is she? Could I cut her loose while they're talking?
You could. However, that is not going along with the ordeal of sway the people. You'd be trying to take
Gotcha.
her away.
Gotcha. Okay.
So you can absolutely do it. It's that your successes count for your ordeal at that point.
Could be
Gotcha.
working two different angles, which is
You'd be working
completely
two different.
fair.
It
Right.
is.
That was my thought.
You don't have to be on the same page for this in this type of ordeal. So if you want to go ahead and try to take her away without, doing anything for the people, you are absolutely allowed to.
Yeah, but that goes against my legend. Oh. The other option would be to go ahead. Oh, if I let me just roll, because and then with sagacity, I get another die.
You would get the ability to reroll.
Oh, okay. So let me go ahead and roll.
So what are you attempting to do?
Uh, I am going to attempt to use the Living Encyclopedia, which is my knowledge of many things, and try to back up what he's asking for or what he's trying to convince the people of with more facts.
Okay. Remember, you roll first, then you choose a feat.
Okay. Well, I did roll, and I ended up with like 6, 7.
Okay. And so now you want to use the the living encyclopedia.
Yes.
Okay.
Sorry.
So go ahead and add your extra die.
Mm,
Okay, for it is a C rank feat.
yes. That was one. I'm gonna re-roll. I'm gonna invoke my
Because
authority.
yes, exactly.
Um, and it doesn't. I guess doesn't matter which die.
You
All of them.
all dice have to be rolled when re-rolling with authority.
That's better. That's 13.
That is a success. So are you also getting up on stage?
Perdita will have to.
Okay. So Perdita's up on stage and she is starting to back up with what Soralis is saying.
Yes, basically.
What portent are you taking?
Um, the knowledge was behind the times.
Okay. Very good.
And
And
for
so the
flavor.
cardinal, the cardinal sees both Soralis and Perdita up on the stage, and he says, "No, no, see how they're coming against us. These are the true non-believers, the ones that are forming around this heretic. This is a cult being formed now." And the crowd starts picking up on that word, cult, because cults are extremely dangerous in times like these. And so they are starting to like let that word roam around in their minds, and that starts building up more fear. Back to Soralis.
Oh, it's not a tour.
It's not a two.
Okay. Sorellis will respond then, because I think I have an idea as to how to go there. Well, isn't it your greed and your heresy that has led to this cult of personality that you lead that would prosecute an innocent woman?
Interesting. Go ahead and roll.
I got 2 4s, so that's an 8. But I would like to invoke my A-rank feat, Redshift Eyes. When a dread hare's eyes glow crimson, the unlikeliest outcomes become real. And I would like to, if minutely possible, make that the case.
Okay.
That what he was saying is actually true.
Go ahead and roll.
So just mathematically speaking, this will be over 10, but we'll see if it's over 20. A 4, a 2, and a 1 gets us up to 15.
Not enough, unfortunately.
Not enough for a triumph, but whatever.
So, you're first off, what portent do you want?
Yes, okay, so this is important. So first, I would like, if in the way this is told, that they were looked down on and belittled to happen to this cardinal, because that is a portent I have.
Okay.
And second, the portent I will be taking is forgetting doesn't mean it didn't happen.
Okay. Okay. So, what this looks like is you say that and your eyes flash red, just ever so briefly. Actually, I'll ask this. Is this Soralis the Lore's eyes are flashing, or Soralis the Kedamono's eyes are flashing?
The Lore's eyes would also flash.
Okay.
I think
So
both
your
are
eyes
technically.
flash red. But only 3 people are able to see it. Teresa, Perdita, and the Cardinal. And the Cardinal, just there's a little bit of a flash of recognition that you catch. And now, people in the crowd, some of them you just happen to notice that some of them are wearing very, very similar looking outfits. And they all have a particular symbol on their, like a lapel for them. And this cardinal's wearing the same lapel. And he immediately starts flustered and says, "No, no, this is the church. This is no cult. We are legitimate. We are the ones who worship the Lord of Light." And you can hear that slight little tremble in his voice when he says, "Lord of Light."
He doesn't believe. He doesn't believe in the Lord of Light.
Your crimes to your faith, no matter how much you try to hide them, no matter how much you forget them, they remain.
And he just goes, there. I am no sinner. She is the sinner. She is the one. You are part of this demonic cult. And he starts. You can see that he's now starting to sweat more and more.
If we're the members of the cult, why are you so nervous? Why are you so afraid? Are you afraid you'll be found out? That you're a
At which
leader
point,
of a cult?
give me a roll. That sounds like a perfect time for that roll.
Oh no, it was a 4.
Do you have any feats left that you'd like to use?
uh, Soaring Raptor and Forbidden Spell.
Ooh, cast a spell.
I could.
Reveal his crimes against the church.
I think I will.
Add 3 more dice.
To that too.
Because Forbidden Spell is an A rank.
And you still have authority, right?
And you still have authority.
Yes, I do. 5, 6, 7, 9, 10, 14.
Okay. I'm just gonna ask, because you just rolled 5 dice. Do you
Yes.
want to re-roll with sagacity?
I mean, I've succeeded. Like, you know what? Screw it. Let's go ahead and push the envelope. Yeah, I'll re-roll them all.
Yeah.
While we're rolling,
Oh no.
with the way that I spoke in that time right before the check happened, I would like to claim that forgetting doesn't mean it didn't happen was fulfilled. Specifically
Okay.
because I said
Yeah, you did call
basically
it
that
out
whole
specifically.
line about his crimes against the church.
Yep.
I rolled a 20. So a 1,
Hey!
a 4, a 5, a 6, and a 4.
So, I'll just mention it now. You've succeeded the ordeal, so it doesn't come up. But you may now choose a new authority for the rest of the session. You get a second authority. Which authority would you like?
Benevolence.
You also have benevolence. At which point, you cast this spell. What is this forbidden spell that's coming out of Perdita? Oh, actually, first off, what portent are you taking out of this?
The lure was lost to me.
Oh, okay.
Let's see. So basically, there's a. I'm trying to think how this is gonna look. So it's a very subtle spell. I know it says a ritual, but it's like a subtle ritual
Okay.
because I don't. Well, so she doesn't look like she's performing witchcraft, but
She's not performing witchcraft in front of the people that are accusing others of witchcraft.
correct. um,
I mean, you could, because your lore will be lost to you.
right. uh, yeah, you know what? I'm sorry, Perdita. I loved you. um, Unfortunately, this spell and this ritual, it's kind of not it's not flashy, but it's loud. So her chanting starts off quiet and then gets louder and louder. And with a flash, uh, he sees, or no, it kind of flashes over the crowd, and the crowd sees him for what he really is. Is that where we're going?
So you cast the Perdita cast the spell, and at the just bewilderment of all in attendance that such blatant witchcraft was performed right in front of their eyes. They themselves feel like they are now tainted to the soul because of this. But that reaction is a little bit muted thanks to seeing this cardinal in front of them. This cardinal who their robes have been completely ripped off of them. And you see this bulbous mass upon the cardinal's body. It looks like a lot of mold and mushroom and just overall like fungi running across his chest and down his arms. And he looks directly at you and goes, "Witch, what have you done?" But at that point, the crowd now know that there is evil in their town. This capital has now been completely tainted from the church down. And they rush the platform. I'm just going to go ahead and call it out. Pretty to cast a spell in front of them. The crowd takes care of her. Let's just go with that.
That'll work.
But they also take their anger out on the fake cardinal. This one full of fungi and spores, and they take whatever implements they have. There's pitchforks and torches, shovels, clubs, blacksmithing hammers. Everything is taken to those two bodies, and there is not much left. And in the confusion, you're able to get Teresa away.
Probably be it Sagalis untying her and then me coming in and at least flying her out while they're all distracted with murder.
Sounds good.
And that was our last ordeal. So we're gonna have a little bit of a wrap up here for our conclusion.
Yeah, do we have any portents that still need to be fulfilled?
There are several.
Because I've got all mine done.
I believe we can treat that you protected Teresa from the tragedy of the Grail.
Okay.
But there are two left.
My feathers fell like snow.
Feathers fell like snow, and that knowledge was behind the times.
So as I'm taking off with her, some of my feathers do fall to the ground. And maybe there's a child, there's somebody there who's curious, wants knowledge. Like, oh, what's this? And they pick it up. And maybe it sets off like an obsession with finding out about more Kedamono.
Okay. And this young child, this young girl playing in a farmstead, just outside, just enjoying the brisk autumn breeze, sees this large figure flying over the sky, and feathers drop all down the farmstead. Black feathers, sharp on their tips. She cuts her finger on it, and she goes to cry, but that sticks with her. That remains with her. And when she continues to grow and mature, there's always something about birds that appeals to her, more so than anything else. Whatever life that she had been fated to live has now been changed.
And as for the knowledge that was behind the times. So The spell that I decided to let Perdita cast, it wasn't as subtle as it should have been. So while it worked, the knowledge was behind the times, and the fact of how Perdita went about it.
In which regard?
Uh,
Her form was off, I think is what Yuki's trying to say.
she could have been way more subtle. So yeah, um,
That doesn't quite fit.
might hit fit. Okay,
Yeah, because
I
like the
tried.
knowledge behind the times is like old knowledge that is no longer applicable.
Right.
So we can do like a small little epilogue where Teresa is you've taken Teresa back to her village, and the Grail is still there. The people of the village have rallied behind Teresa, because they literally saved, or she's literally saved them. So they are fully behind Saint Teresa, and she returns back, and she's telling the people of the village of what happened, but without going into too many details about who assisted her. But it's just a shock that some witch showed up and gave her life selflessly for her. And maybe witchcraft isn't all that bad, which starts a bit of a real discussion, and perhaps maybe even a little bit of a schism within the church. As some are saying that witchcraft is terrible, but on the other hand, witchcraft has saved people more so recently. Maybe magic is a gift from the Lord,
Ooh.
but it's
I
hard to
like it.
it's hard to determine what actually happens. I think that's a good way of doing knowledge was behind the times.
I like it.
Perfect.
But there is one last thing to happen. But you have something, Fern?
I would like to, before we move to post game, confirm that we have no more ordeals to deal
There
with.
are no more ordeals. The only last thing I have is Teresa returning back to the forest.
And then at that point,
I think what I want to do will happen before that.
Very well.
I would like to invoke my opera.
Please,
So,
please.
my opera's name is called Another Future. The flavor text says, make a different possibility manifest. Condition. Confirm with all participants that no more ordeals will happen on stage. I just did that. And the opera portent is one truth existed, then in an instant was substituted with another entirely. Yet the only one who knew this change took place was you. And I would like to have that portent manifest itself immediately, as I take center stage for just a moment, and have a conversation with Teresa in this moment between possibilities.
And she's just walking down the path, and all of a sudden, black. And she looks around, and there is a small light that is now centered on her. And she goes, "What? What? What?" And you walk into the light.
Soralis appears before her, seemingly the same, but in a voice that portrays a different, a different mood, let's say. Oh, young one, the trials you have been through, and the reality you have manifested. You may not remember this. I hope you will. But the reality that you have just experienced will cease too. I have ended the existence, the fate of the Grail. For it was my mark and the mark of my lure that was guided to help you in this case without my knowledge. But your trials will still remain. The grail is no more, but you will still be heralded as the savior of the village, as the cure to the rot, and as the saint that you are. Know that I have no ill will towards you, and know that Perdita will not have experienced the fate she will. She will not even have been the lure that you have met.
How can this be?
There are infinite possibilities, infinite worlds, and the worlds in which you have experienced this, they will now cease. Part of my job is to end these such realities once they begin to exist. Other than that, I ask that you refrain from asking more questions, lest you find me coming for you next.
I I don't understand.
You need not understand. And then we shall move to the new reality. The new reality where the Grail never existed. The new reality where Soralis was never met. And where Teresa went on a journey with Lady Evanbeek to save the village and was heralded as a hero.
And the light cuts out. And the curtains fall. That's it. That's our game. Woo! That was
Close to my opera. So close.
you're so close.
I'm
let's
sorry,
just
you
do
could still do that.
It's done.
But we move to a new reality. You're still can do that contract in that reality.
Yeah, I'd say you could.
Yeah. You still helped her. She still agreed to the pact. None of that changed.
Yeah,
Oh,
no,
yeah,
that
okay.
changed. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you turn Teresa into your lore.
Yep.
Ooh.
Isn't that your
Monster.
opera? Can you explain it?
Yeah, that's my opera. Sorry. Where'd it go? Hang on a second. You wrote it down. So yeah, it's philosopher's contract. So we made a contract. Make a contract with a human. Contract with a human and make them your lure. Because she ended up, or I ended up helping her. She agreed to come back and be my lure. So the condition was I had to feed her blessed food. So once she came back, she'll get her mother stew again.
This time she
That's
won't get sick out of it.
thank goodness. And then they become they become my lure, and they spend a very long time with you, and together you gain great wisdom. And so when I release her, she still has all that wisdom that she gathered with me. So basically, whatever we learn together, she takes with her.
And
So
how long does this contract last?
We would have had to discuss that.
so she's becoming an eternally wise and benevolent saint.
Pretty much.
Mm-hmm.
So,
All right. So let's hit up the curtain call. First things first, all the Kedamono will set all of their operas, feats, and legends back to being available. So you clear any of your used check marks. If you had any agonies, which you did, reduce those back down to 0. Basically, you're just resetting everything.
Perdita.
And then the other thing is that you now gain a new legend. So if you are to play these characters again, you get a legend for it. So you would now start with 2. However, within this game, there is a nifty little thing about it. Every new piece of work that incorporates these legends also grants you an additional legend. So because this is a recording of the story, that is a tale to be told across the time and space. You gain an additional legend. So the next time that we play with Lady Evanbeek and Soralis, they will start with 3 legend. Unless someone decides to make art. or a short story, or a video, or anything else like that, you would get additional legend for each one of those.
How about the Legend of Saint Teresa?
She's not a Kedamono,
Well, no,
If
oh,
she
that's right.
was.
Yes, she
but
was.
she's if she was, then yes. But
Yeah.
right now, she's serving a couple of hundred years as a lore.
After she finishes that.
Then she's still not a Kedamono.
That's true. Okay, so it has to be about me. Damn!
She has a soul,
I don't want to eat her.
but you
I
kind
mean,
of
I
do.
do. Yeah.
But that is our tale, our opera of Kedamonos. Y'all, thank you so much for playing. This was a blast.
Yeah, have a
That's
lot of
great.
fun.
I like this character.
And if anybody watching has any questions or you want to come hang out with the community, we're on the LionWing Discord. Come check us out, and we'll answer any questions and run games where we can. But until that point, have fun, stay safe, make good choices, and go tell interesting tales. Have a good one, everyone.
See ya.
Bye.